Welcome everyone. So this is our intro video to our next class. And what I saw from looking at the play posit is I don't want to rush. One, I know we just had break, and two, we're adjusting to this new online platform. So I want to start by actually doing the takeaways from our first lesson. And so you can see that I've put all of our takeaways right here. The first one is the blocking of questions on PlayPosit. I realized that when some people had the questions show up, there was a video saying more in this playlist that was blocking it. So I'm learning the information as well, and I'm going to try to figure out why that's happening and make sure that in future PlayPosits, the questions aren't blocked. So that's taking care of that. Now, I also want to talk about completing assignments till the end. So a couple people didn't answer the last few questions. So if you haven't, make sure you go on and finish that. If it doesn't say complete, it's not complete. Make sure you do all questions. On top of that, I'm still waiting on some people to upload the notes to Google Classroom. This is a way so I can actually see how you're going about the work, since I can't just walk around and see what you're able to do algebraically versus using logic, because as the questions become more challenging, we need to focus on the algebra as well. Now, the next four things I'm going to go into a little more detail with actual examples. And these are questions that I saw kids had difficulties with on the questions. So let's take a look at those four. So the first is simplifying versus improper fractions. So for this, I have an example for us to do. Feel free to pause the video and try this question on your own before I do it as well. So I'm going to start and I'm going to label, again, to make sure that I follow correct order. M equals, again, it doesn't matter if you do y1 minus y2 or y2 minus y1. It's going to get you the same as long as the x values follow the same order. So I'm going to do -8, so y1 minus y2, all over, I must start with x1, 5, minus a -1. Be careful of that minus a negative. And I get a -10 all over 6, because that's just plus 1. Now, simplifying is eliminating any common factor. Well, 10 and 6 both have a common factor of 2, so I can reduce this to 5/3, so -5/3. This is simplified. Writing as an improper fraction, as this also is, we don't have to go to this, which, yes, they're the same thing, but this is a mixed number. This doesn't mean simplified. Simplified means no more common factors in the numerator and denominator. If you have any questions about that, don't hesitate to reach out. Now let's look at undefined versus zero slope. So again, slope is the change in rise over the change in run. Now, when we have a no rise, so let's say we have no rise. So example 1, no rise is just a horizontal line. So that's going to be m equals 0, because there's no rise, over whatever the change in run is. Well, 0 divided by, well, anything, 0 divided by 4, 0 divided by -7, always simplifies to 0. It's just 0. So when there's no rise, it's a slope of 0. Now, on the other hand, if there's no run, so we're not going left and right, we're going straight up and down. Well, that means we have 0 run, and our change is all in the rise. Well, what we've seen is we can't divide by 0. We don't know how to. And that's why we say it's undefined. So that's why horizontal lines have a slope of 0, while vertical lines have a slope that's undefined. Now, you saw just a moment ago with calculating slope and being careful with the negatives. I saw a lot of errors when calculating the intercepts and losing the subtraction or negative sign. So again, pause the video and try this on your own before I do it as well. So the y-intercept, we know that x equals 0 because the y-intercept is on the y-axis. And the x value is always 0 there. So 5 times 0 minus 6y equals 38. Well, this eliminates. And notice that negative 6y comes down. A lot of us lost that negative, and so all of a sudden we were dividing by a positive 6, not a negative 6. Now I know this is a new made up question, but it's similar to one from yesterday. Divide by negative 6 and I get y equals, well, I'm just going to make this a fraction. I'm going to reduce it though. It's going to become a negative 19 over 3. So that's simplified. And now I write it as an ordered pair. There is my y-intercept. Don't forget to simplify. Don't forget to write it as an ordered pair. Yesterday, some of us wrote the y-intercept as just -9 for one of the questions. It would have been 0, -9. Last but not least, let's look at analysis questions. So the analysis questions were the two that had you select all that were possible. And so we had some difficulty with this. And I was looking at some of our work and I realized we weren't showing work for each one, and there needs to be some. So when I take a look at this and I think to myself, which, with the information provided, which would have a slope of 0? Well, from above, we realize that we'll have a slope of 0 when we have a 0 in the numerator. So therefore, we have run, but we have no rise. Well, this little work allows me to say, well, okay, E has no rise. So E works. This is a yes. On the other hand, this has a rise. So that's a no. So I don't have to do as much work for the pictures. Now, let's take a look at A and B. Well, let's actually calculate the slope. M equals 8 minus 4. So I'm doing x1, y1, x2, y2. I'm doing y2 minus y1. All over -2 minus a -2. This gives me a 4 over 0. This means I have no run. That means it's a vertical line. That means no. Now let's do this one. M equals a -5 minus -5 all over 4 minus -2. That's a 10. Oh, sorry, that's not a 10. It's a 0, don't make my mistake, over 6. Well, again, that means no rise. So that means B works. Now we have to remember which one of these equations results in this. Well, y equaling 8 says all ordered pairs have y being 8. Okay, so let's think about what type of graph would have y equals 8. Let's make a graph. Okay, well, let's think to ourselves, y is 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going by twos, so that's 2, 4, 6, 8. So all y values are 8. So there's 0, 8. There's 1, 8. There's 2, 8. So y equals 8 is making a horizontal line, which means there's no rise. Well, last but not least, let's take a look at this. We go here, x is -4. So let's find where x is -4. There's -4. Here's -4, 1. -4, 0. Well, that creates a vertical line. So that's a no. So any of this that you feel you need to take notes on, make sure you add that to your notes, because this is really key information to make sure we have this foundation before we move on. Here is the last check, all that would apply. Now, we began to explore slope-intercept form yesterday. So we can see that this actually follows slope-intercept form. So we actually can tell that the y-intercept, which was the b value, is -15. So we could actually right away say, yes, the y-intercept is 0, -15. But we can also calculate the y-intercept. Okay, plug 0 in for x. Y equals 5/2 times 0 minus 15. Y equals -15. We write it as an ordered pair. Well, slope-intercept form doesn't give us the x-intercept, so let's calculate it. We plug 0 in for y equals 5/2 x minus 15. Add 15 to both sides and we get 15 equals 5/2 x. Divide by 5/2, which is the same as multiplying by 2/5. Put that over 1. That's a 30 over 5, which is just 6 equals x. Well, so we think C might be correct, but x is 6. That means the ordered pair is 6, 0. I did that on purpose. So C is wrong. It's not written correctly. Now we think about the slope. Well, either we now have 2 points and we can calculate it. So I'm going to say x1, y1, x2, y2, equals a -15 minus 0 all over 0 minus 6, which becomes a -15 over -6, which reduces to 5/2. That's positive. I can also look and see that the coefficient of x, which represents m, is also 5/2. So it's positive. So A and B were the answers to that one. Again, take notes on this if needed, or come see me in Google Meet if you have any questions. Now on to today's objective. So here's today's objective. We want to solidify our ability to calculate slope and intercepts of linear functions and write them with proper notation. So x, y, you write the intercepts as ordered pairs. And you're going to upload your notebook to show the work. So what that means, on Khan Academy, I have given you some activities you need to do. So they are assigned on Khan Academy. So today you don't have a PlayPosit, you have a Khan Academy. And I'm just assigning the practice problems. Feel free to watch the videos. These problems are due by Monday. That's what I put as the due date. Then you're also going to complete and upload an exit ticket. Now this is due today. The exit ticket you can do either in your notebook. Actually, you know what? We'll make this due on Saturday, just in case of time zone differences. Just in case of, so you are doing this in your notebook. If you have a printer, feel free to print it out. It's on Google Classroom as well. This is an exit ticket as if it was in class. So please don't use your notes. So if you're a little worried about the material, start with this and then go to this. I will be on Google Meet the entire time, so feel free and come ask me for any help you need. Bye.